rather forego that sum than think it obtained by deception. Ah, dear reader, would that I could indeed bring to my task the skills not merely of the scholar, but of the novelist. Would that the historian might be permitted to have regard to art rather than truth, and so enliven the narrative with descriptions of scenes known only by hearsay or speculation. Would, above all, that I could begin my story, as the writer of fiction might so easily do, at the true starting point of the strange and tragic events which I propose to relate. The execution, on a March day in 1934, at the offices in Lincoln's Inn Fields, of Messrs. Tancred & Co., solicitors, of the last will and testament of Sir James Remington Fiske. How admirably, and with what profusion of persuasive detail, would a novelist convey the scene. The dark, old-fashioned office, its walls lined with law reports and encyclopedias of conveyancing precedents, the window looking out on the green rectangle of Lincoln's Inn Fields, the weary-eyed, sober-suited clerk, perched on his stool to prepare the engrossment of the will, copying the draft onto parchment in laborious black copperplate, so shortly before the client arrived to sign it. Yes, I think so. It may be supposed, since Sir James died within the month, that he already knew the mortality of his condition, and that the will was a matter of haste and urgency. Outside, the pale sunbeams play a coquettish hide-and-seek with the springtime clouds. Purple crocuses brighten the grass at the foot of the plane trees. A girl in a pretty dress walks past, the breeze ruffling her hair. The clerk, looking up and seeing her, smiles and returns with a lighter heart to his labours. A motor car, a Rolls-Royce, I suppose, draws to a purring halt outside the office. The man who steps from it has at first sight the large, loose-knit physique, which seems designed for walking grouse moors, and the high complexion that comes from doing so. But his flesh, when one looks more closely, is shrunken by illness, and the skin unhealthily mottled. The woman beside him, not yet middle-aged, still elegant, though she has borne 6 children, seems already almost in mourning. Her round grey hat and veil give her a widowed look. The senior partner, emerging from his private office to greet them, with the grave deference appropriate to the client and the occasion, asks anxiously, No, I can't do it. I do not know if Sir James was tall or short, or what kind of hat his wife wore. The crocuses may have been yellow. There may have been no pretty girls in Lincoln's Inn Fields that day. I do not know, and cannot invent, for the scholar is the servant not of art, but truth. Forgive me, dear reader. My narrative must have its starting point nearly half a century later, when my own interest first became engaged in the affair. Chapter 1. Professor Tamar, Mr. Shepherd rang and said please come to London as soon as possible. You can stay at his flat and he will give you dinner. He says it has something to do with a murder. Awaiting me in my pigeonhole at the porter's lodge of St. George's College, the message perplexed me more than a little. If my former pupil, Timothy Shepherd, now in practice as a barrister in Lincoln's Inn, wished to offer me hospitality, I was more than willing to oblige him. By the 6th week of the Trinity term, my academic responsibilities were weighing heavy on my shoulders, and the prospect of a day or 2 away from Oxford was delightful. I could not account, however, for the